Hi friends, it's SuNN here today. Thanks for joining me. I have a unique box today to share with you. I'm calling it a box card because the light is so bright here. You can't see this, but it does have a little bit of printing. There we go. On it, and a stamp, and then when you open it, ta-da, it's a little card that you can write on, and a cute little box that you can give to somebody. You could adhere this part to this part so that it is an actual box. You don't have to put the card on, but I just thought it was kind of a neat idea, and if I wanted to write something on it, that's how I would do it. That's why I left it open. So that's what I'm going to make today. I'll show you how to do it. So, and before I go any further, I used the By the Tide stamp set. I used this, and in the example, so this writing, and it doesn't make any sense, but it's just describing it. It says pink shells, white shells, and shells colored blue, smooth shells, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I just like the scripty of it. So that's what's on top here. And then the Nantucket Oceanside Inn off to the side. I like the little anchor. I'm going to do another version. I thought this was kind of nice for a guy. Father's Day, maybe? Okay, so we need 2 pieces of cardstock. We need for the inner box and then for the cover. So the inner box, I'll start off with. It's a 7 by 7 piece of cardstock, and I'm going to score it at 2 inches on all sides. And you've seen me make this box, a similar box with a lid, often. So you know how to do it, but I'll show you to anyway. So the cover is 3 1/8 by 11, and we are going to score it at 2, at 5 1/8, 7 1/8, and 10 1/8. That 1/8 is going to give us the proper closure. Okay, so like I said, you've seen me do this before. I'm going to fold all my score lines and burnish them well, because that's how you get the box to look beautiful. And while I have my scoring tool out, I'm going to do these guys as well. And I'll start with this one. And I think I've told you before about the pinwheel, so I'm going to start here, and I'm going to wedge and wedge. Then I'm going to turn and wedge and wedge. Turn. Oh, come on, there we go. And turn. All right. So I'm going to use my fast fuse close to the crease. And when you, I think I've talked about this before, light touch when you're using the fast fuse. And I'm out of fast fuse. So, I wasn't expecting that. We'll go do glue. Tombow to the rescue, because I have bottles of that. Be interesting to see if the edges, how well they stand up. All right, so nice and tight, just to that edge. I don't mind using the Tombow, to be honest. It does take a little bit longer in videos, but at least I know that my little creations here are going to stick together. You could use sticky strip too. Snail just won't cut it. It's not going to happen. It will pop. Okay, so that's our little box made. And so this is like a 3x3. Yeah, 3x3. So this is where I wanted to take my corners down. Just on that little edge. And I was going to use Tombow on this anyway. So that I have a bit of wiggle room, and you'll see what I mean. So there's, I don't think it really matters where you're putting it as long as it's in the middle and you have a little gap on either side. Very slight gap. Like so. Yeah. All right, so this part I'm going to use my ruler for. So 3 1/8 is like 1 and I think it's like 9/16 or something like that, but I don't have that measurement, so I'm just going the little mark right after 5 1/2 ish, and then I'm going to take my mat and I'm going to poke a hole in it, and as you can see, all organized and everything. Got my brad in there. I do want to keep a little bit of an opening so I can slide that piece of paper into it, and it's so much easier to do this. I have a candy dot brad from the Regals collection, and I'm using the Night of Navy. Trust me, it's just easier to do it when you've got it in your piercing mat. And closing that brad up, I'm like putting my piercing tool there so that I have something to press against. So it is a little loose. And then I'm going to get out my glue dots, because now that there's dimension here, I want to make sure, well, first thing I want to make sure that those ends are glued down so they don't bulge out. And then I'm going to take 4 more glue dots because I, overuse adhesive. And I'm just putting them in the corners where that front piece is going to go. At least I've not run out of glue dots, eh? Okay, so that's done. And then, so I think this is the Maritime. You can't see it because it's so bright. Oh, there's the wording. So I use Coastal Cabana, which is sort of nautical, and I put the words on so you could write, to, from, whomever. And that's going to go on this little piece of designer series paper, and you need to know the dimensions. So give me 2 seconds here so I can look at my notes. 2 pieces of designer series paper, 3 inches by 2 3/4. Oops, helps if it's open. And this one will get layered right on the top. Very nautical. And then I've just offset this. I've also sponged the edges. I do want to speed up on my videos a little bit. So you've seen Stampin' before, so you kind of know what it's all about, but that's how I'm putting it together. And then on the inside, I have the other piece of Design a Series paper. And I just put a piece of Whisper White in it, and this is for the card part. And that's gonna go right in here. What I will warn you guys about is if you're finding that it's not fitting fabulously well, err on the side of a little bit bigger, like maybe a little bit more, like 1/4 of an inch, and see how that works for you. This one worked really well coming around, and what I mean by the score lines here, this one worked really well. This one seems to be a little cutty-wampus. But anyway, that is my project for today. And whatever reason, it does not want to stick in. So thanks a lot for joining me. And I hope to see you next Friday. Bye.